Hey, what's up everyone? So I was originally planning on skipping over this live stream that happened on November 26th and doing the Cloud of Darkness commentary today, but they actually packed way more content into the 2-year anniversary live stream than I expected, so I felt like I needed to make a video for it. So first off, they held a tournament in honor of the anniversary, which lasted for a few hours. I've got a link down to it in the description below if you're interested and want to check that out. Once the live stream started, they released some cool new stuff. So first off, they finally officially revealed Noctis. We knew he was coming, but now we've got his moveset and he's set to be released in arcades on December 7th. That means we'll know how he plays before the console release, and I should be able to do a commentary on him before go time. As far as his moveset is concerned, he looks pretty faithful to Final Fantasy 15. Each of his attacks switches to a different weapon, giving him different properties for his attack. It looks like his neutral attacks are just bread and butter, quick close range attacks. His forward attacks are gap closures and go straight ahead, and his backward attacks give him a little more reach or AoE. His X skill is going to be his warp, so he throws his weapon and can teleport to it. The player can control the direction of the weapon, so you have a lot of options here on how to best trick your opponent and successfully attack them. Also, his unique ability is Armature, and it looks like it just increases his damage and maybe the knockback. It triggers after taking a certain amount of damage, but we don't know the exact numbers yet. We'll get more information on Noctis soon as he's released, and people have the opportunity to play around with him. They had another surprise for us in the form of a new Final Fantasy VIII map, the Promised Meadow. They chose to use the Wasteland from the Inn and also the Flower Field, which are a bit unexpected. People have been speculating at what location from the game they might pick for a long time now. A lot of people thought they might go with something like Balm Garden. But the Flower Field is a pretty iconic image from the game, and it's going to serve as another flat battleground in Dissidia. There are no cliffs or structures to block your way, similar to Porta Decumana from Final Fantasy XIV. Not much to say here, as it's a pretty straightforward map. This now leaves Final Fantasy XV as the only mainline game to have a character in the game but not a map, so I imagine that's what's going to be next. Alright, so next up we've got fancy new colors for everyone's alternate costumes. If you haven't seen them yet, I'll just run through each one real quick so you can check them out. To be completely honest, I didn't realize the secondary costumes didn't already have different color tints. So now this brings each character up to 2 costumes and 3 tints for each. While we're looking at the costumes, let me just talk about something else they teased in the live stream. So in the arcades, as you play your character, you gain levels, which are how you unlock your alternate costumes and different tints, as well as new HP attacks and voice lines. It's specific to each character, and the cap is currently 17, but they said during the live stream that the cap is going to be increased to 25, with a mystery reward at level 25. They didn't specify what it was. So we have no idea what it will be yet, but it makes sense for it to be similar to a reward we already received for leveling up. So my best guess is either another alternate costume for your character, or a 5th HP attack, as some people are speculating. We'll just have to wait and see as arcade players get up to level 25 to figure out what it is, so don't get your hopes up just yet. A lot of people have been asking for more HP attacks, but I'm kind of hoping that's not what it is, just because I don't want to dilute the HP attack pool and keep each character as unique as possible instead of them all having kind of similar HP attacks. Either way though, we should have some sort of surprise in a couple of weeks. Okay, now with the costume tints just about out of the way, we also saw Cloud of Darkness and Noctis' alternate costumes and weapon sets in the live stream. Cloud of Darkness becomes Cloud of Light, which we saw as the tints were going by. She looks pretty cool there. And then Noctis is in his kingly raiment from Final Fantasy XV. Unfortunately, he's not rocking the older Noctis look, but maybe that'll come later on in a different costume. Alright, now here's a look at Cloud of Darkness' new weapon called Spirit Tentacles. And then these are Noctis' alternate weapons. It's just a weapon set for each of the different weapons that he uses in battle. Golbez's original outfit had its new tint shown as well, and also some different colorings for his dragon, which is considered his weapon. Okay, so I think that just about covers all of the new stuff they added. There were some cool new cosmetic items there, glad to have a few more options. Hopefully they go all out on that when the console release happens. I think they can do a lot of fun stuff with different alternate costumes. I'm still holding out for Leon Squall from Kingdom Hearts, and then an older version of Noctis. Alright, so anyways, on to the balance changes. There are actually a lot of changes here, and I was kind of surprised. There were some major changes to how the glide system works, which I'm not going to get into the specific details with, just because it's kind of hard to explain if you're not already familiar with the system. Basically, there are several characters that can glide during some of their attacks, and these attacks now have strict rules they follow in terms of how far you can glide, and if you can glide during the attack or after the attack. Check out the link down below with the full patch notes to get all the specific details about which characters this affect, and then which attacks follow what rule. Alright, so Onion Knight saw some major changes in this patch. His Fire and Blizzard attacks from his default form have had their vertical targeting improved by 5 degrees, making it a little easier to hit enemies above or below you. In his ninja form, the rush distance of his Tornado Slash and Wheeling Thrust are increased by half a meter. The Wind Shear attack occurs 1 frame faster, and the way the attack works has changed. Instead of being a multi-hit attack, it's just a single attack now with knockback. Also, it has a new vacuum effect that pulls nearby enemies in if they're close enough. His Shuriken attack also now has tracking. As for his Sage side, most of his attacks have had some configuration changes. It's easier to just watch this video and kind of see how they work now. There are a lot of small details about what the priority and speed is at different points throughout the attack, so once again check the link down below to read the specific descriptions. Overall, it looks like a lot of his attacks have higher priority at the beginning of the animations now, and also create an explosion if they connect during the first half of the attack. And so my thought is, this gives Onion Knight a little more breathing room against targets that are really close to him, as he has no other way to really knock nearby people away. These Sage attacks look pretty good, so we'll have to see how much this changes him in terms of popularity. So Golbez was released pretty strong, so they released a few small nerfs for him. The projectile size of Cold Breath and Heat Breath are both down 2/10 of a meter, and the Wind Sphere attack is down 1/10 of a meter. Also, the second Meteor in Twin Meteor comes out 10 frames later, giving players an easier time to move out of the way. I don't know if you've seen video of that so far, but it seemed pretty crazy. Xdeath's Reverse Polarity has its vertical targeting improved by 5 degrees, and the debuff duration for Curse and White Curse were increased from 15 seconds to 20 seconds. Sephiroth's Shadow Flare received some changes. The aura duration was shortened by 50 frames, the horizontal range is down by 7.5 meters, the explosion radius is down by half a meter, and the vacuum effect was reduced. Okay, Squall's X skill Draw and Junction was kind of reworked. Normally when drawing from a Vanguard, his defense would be increased, and when drawing from a Marksman, his attack would be increased. Now when he draws from a Vanguard, he gains 15 HP per second up to 150, 300, or 450, depending on how close he is to his target. Same thing applies to Marksman, except it's 15 bravery per second instead of 15 HP per second. Seems like a pretty good change to me. Gaining 450 HP is really valuable. Okay, Zidane had the duration of his Steel and Mug effects increased from 15 seconds to 20 seconds, so that should help him fill the role of debuffer a little easier and cause the effects to be a little more annoying. The vertical range of Kuja's Flare Star was increased by half a meter, and that's it for him. Vaughn received some HP attack changes. Azure Torment comes out a frame slower, and the hitbox of the attack is active for 4 frames less than it was. The window that Ground Zero's guard is active was reduced by 10 frames, and all actions that cancel the in-lag of the attack like dodging are slower by 20 frames. Azure Torment and Ground Zero seem to be the most common Vaughn HP attacks, so this should help the others get a higher pick rate. On top of that, the time between each shot of Calamity Drive, another one of his HP attacks, was increased by 10 frames, and its vertical angle was changed from 40 degrees to 30 degrees. Lightning's Beatdown attack received a couple of changes. In mid-air, the vertical rush was improved slightly. Also, the initial part of the attack now has a keep value, making it more difficult to interrupt. She can now move slightly when the attack is active as well. And then lastly, we have Ramza, who received a few changes also. For his cross slash and double slash attacks, the duration of the hitbox was reduced by 7 frames, but the ending lag was also reduced by 7 frames if you miss the enemy. If the attack does hit, the ending lag was increased by 4 frames. Dash canceling after his energy shot attack is now a little slower. The vertical tracking for the first hit of Triple Break was improved by 2.5 degrees. Ramza's X skill now begins charging immediately after pressing the button, as opposed to having an 11 frame delay. This is a pretty big buff for him, because now if you have to charge multiple times before actually filling up your X skill gauge, this is going to reduce the time it takes to do that by quite a bit. To balance it out some, they increased the total time needed to charge the X skill by 10 additional frames, so you're still coming out ahead even if you only have to press the button once. If you hold down the button to charge and then release it, the ending lag is reduced by 10 frames as well. The ending lag after the shout buff takes effect was reduced by 15 frames, and the ending lag after the cheer buff takes effect was reduced by 20 frames. All in all, this should make Ramza faster and less susceptible to punishes when trying to use his X skill. So a ton of balance changes here, like I said. I guess they were holding on to a lot of these from the live stream earlier this month because it wasn't as big as this one was. As far as I know, they haven't announced any live streams for December, so this may be the last one we get until right before the Japanese version of NT launches on January 11th. We should see Noctis running around soon though, and we'll find out what the surprise reward for reaching a character level 25 is sometime in December most likely. So this should be my last video of procrastinating the character commentaries. Cloud of Darkness will definitely be coming out next Friday. After her we'll have Golbez, and if there's enough footage out there I'll try and do Noctis, although we might need to wait a little while for him. As always, thanks to Hexakodo for compiling the translations for the balance changes and posting them on GameFAQs. Alright everyone, so thanks for watching and I will see you later. Have a good one!